Okay, we'll go ahead and call Jackson County Fire District's #1, our special meeting. We'll go ahead and call it to order. Today's meeting is being recorded, and if everybody will join me in the pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call, please. Here. Here.
Here.
All right, today's special meeting is to discuss about future fire chief recruitment, and I'll go ahead and turn the meeting over to Mr.
All right, thank you. As was discussed at the last meeting, and we checked with SDAO further on providing services and whether we could make a hybrid type process where we work together to make it. They said, yeah, that's great. Let's get it done. So I got all the stuff for them, the outline of what things needed to be done soon, immediately. And some of those we'll address tonight. I just noticed that job description that I had changed the heading on. We're gonna want to change this, and I don't have this in my computer. So if you could change that to Jackson County Fire District 1, you get that to me so I can send it back in with the packet of stuff. If you go to the packet that they sent out, first we'll look at this one. The first page of it starts with the district board of directors. And there's a whole long list, and that's a checklist. Those 16 items are a checklist of things that we have to, or we should have complete before, during this process. The second page at the top starts with what they need to have now. And it's a meeting with the board and or search committee to discuss the process. Is the job description up to date? We think it is. You have a copy of it provided there. We do need to change the title to Jackson County Fire District 1. If you look through that and find anything that you think is not correct, please let us know so we can get that updated further. The second is the position benefit package up to date. I believe it is. Did everybody get a copy of the things that I did? Yeah, set that up.
Yeah, we have.
The position announcement and job description and all that's in there. I'd like to start, I guess I'll back up here. I'd like to actually get everybody on the timeline. That page in your group that says the timeline. I'm just going to walk down through that. And see if it works. And I'll have you make a note for your right now. Down towards the bottom is November 18th. Now our regular board meeting will fall on November 11th, but that's Veterans Day. So Mike and I talked and thought we'd probably be kicking it to the 18th. Okay, so I'll go back to the top. On May 18th at the regular meeting, we discussed our options with going with SDAO. June 1, today is a special board meeting to approve the agreement with SDAO, review and discuss the job description, benefit package, and the selection process timeline. And we'll turn around at our next board meeting. I tried to put as many of these on a regular meeting as we could, so we wouldn't be having any disruptions. At our next meeting, we'll approve the final job description, the benefit package, and the selection process timeline. So we won't be voting on any of those things tonight, but we'll discuss them and have them ready for the next board meeting to vote on them. July 1, the recruitment period opens. And what that recruitment period will be for 30 days. And that will be SDAO advertising it primarily in the gated Y, which is a fire service thing that goes out nationwide. We'll advertise it in the Oregon section, but it gets picked up by lots of others. That'll run for 30 days and close on the 31st. There's no action in there that we need to take or anything. That's just open.
Is that enough coverage, you think?
I think 30 days is adequate, yeah.
The gated Y is enough, or should we contact the employment department?
Well, they'll also, it'll automatically be posted on SDAO's website and this. You know, I've used Indeed and some of those, and boy, you get
Inundated.
you get inundated with unqualified.
Yeah.
You know, I just have never seen a real benefit in it. You get numbers,
Yeah.
but very rarely do you get anybody. If there's a fire chief out there and he's looking, he'll be checking the daily dispatch. That's
Okay.
the industry standard
Okay,
for
let's go through the daily dispatch. Okay.
Question. I'm sure we'll discuss it, but right along that line. We're going out nationwide.
We're only going to Oregon and get it, but it gets picked up nationwide. Anybody can see it.
Someplace where we're gonna pay the transportation for the travel.
Yeah,
expenses.
we'll talk about that in just a
Okay,
minute.
it could get expensive.
Yeah. And, we can talk about it right now. And my proposal, what I would propose to the board is we don't pay transportation to bring people out, but it's gonna be a day and a half process. They're gonna have to spend the night. I would suggest that we get a block of 3 or 5 rooms, whatever is necessary at the motel across the river at the whatever that motel
Best
is.
Western.
Best Western
Yeah, that's a
over
good
there.
idea.
And we pay for the night that they're here.
Yeah.
And also pay for dinner.
Yeah, okay.
Well, it's not airfare. It's all good.
Yeah, but not travel expenses from New Jersey to come out.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought, oh.
Yeah, no. But, okay, back to this.
Thank you.
July 30, that closes. And then, or July 31st, actually, and then SDAO will do the first review on the applications. And they'll look at our requirements that we've put together, and they'll say, it looks like this guy's qualified, this guy's not, all that. And they will, on the 7th, by the 7th, and these are by dates, by August 7th, they will give us a stack of applications and resumes for our review. Those will be confidential. We'll get together and go through them, but we don't share outside of this room who they're, because some of these people are still employed and don't want their boss to know they're looking for a job, you know? So, and until we're ready to offer a position, or until actually, we'll get down to it, but if we do a meet and greet, then it becomes public who the finalists are. But in this phase, we're not, we'll get stacked.
Does the SAO review that and make any recommendations or?
They'll do the first review, and really what they pull out is the ones that are obviously not qualified. If they're, they'll let the board make that decision on it. And then by the 7th, they'll get them to me. And I will distribute to you guys. And on August 12th, at our regular board meeting, we'll have an executive session to review the applicants and hopefully select the semifinalists. And that'll be depending on the number of applications. Typically, I like to get it down to about 5 there. 7's okay, because you'll have a couple drop out. If you only go with 5, you'll wind up with 3, so we'll see. And we'll do a whole matrix of what we think are important things and be able to go through it. Matter of fact, we're gonna do that tonight or today. So at that board meeting, we'll get down to the semifinalists. I'll notify the semifinalists that that's by August 19th, we'll notify the semifinalists that on September 23rd, so they've got a month in there, they need to be planning to be in Rogue River, and we'll have them at a motel for the night of September 23rd. September 23rd from 6 to 8, right here in this room, have a meet and greet, and that's open to everybody, community members, union, whoever wants to come and meet the candidates we'll ask each candidate to give a 5-minute, 10-minute talk about themselves and why they feel they're qualified to be the fire chief at Rogue River, Oregon. And then we'll have coffee and cookies and just an opportunity for one-on-one. Anybody that wants to go visit with them can visit with them, board members.
Just curiosity on my part, do we have anybody in-house that's prospect?
I suspect we will have.
What we do?
Yeah, I don't know that, but the process would be the same, I guess, open it up. Now, they will be evaluated at this meet and greet. We'll go over then, but we want to be thinking about the person that we want out there in the public representing us and doing that. And if we've got somebody that stands up there and looks at their shoes all the time that they're talking, that's important, I'll tell you, and are we recording? Yeah, I won't tell an anecdotal story about the process. Just know that that's an important step in the process.
Absolutely.
So the meet and greet is on September 23rd. On September 24th will be the assessment center day. And the candidates will have a full day of it. What that'll probably look like is they'll be split up to 3 stations, and they'll have some slack time, and during that slack time, they'll get an assignment that day to do it. And it can be what want to be able to, with that slack time assignment, we want to make sure that they can legibly communicate in writing. They'll be giving a written assignment to work out some kind of a problem for presentation to the board. The board president has asked you to put together a presentation for the board at tonight's meeting regarding that. And so if they had their spouse prepare their resume and their thing,
AI.
it's going to find out. AI, whatever, we'll
Mhm.
find out,
That would be a good
that.
show anyway.
But the more structured portion of it will be a community panel. And what I'd like to see on the community panel is members of the community that are, taking interest in the fire district. I think, maybe the mayor or the lady from the city council that was here would be a good candidate. I think Nikki, I'm just throwing out some names now, that did all the work on the thing, would probably be a good community member. The guy with the beard, I don't know his name, that comes to a lot of our meetings, would probably be a good community member to be on that. And their task, we'll go over it with them, but their task, or I probably won't, another guy will be to, which one of these candidates is the best fit in our community? They're not looking at any technical skills and abilities. They're not looking at those things. They're looking for the best fit as a community member. We'll also have a technical community or committee that'll be made up primarily of area fire chiefs. We'll invite some outside fire chiefs in to sit on it. I would also invite a union member to be on each one of these panels. And the third interview process is the board interview. And what we'll probably have, if we have 5 or 7, we'll ask those 2 panels to rank them in order, the candidates. And then we will have a chance to say, here's our top 3 candidates. If we only want to interview 3.
Can I interject something here? Is when we have the board thing, we will have structured questions that we will ask them.
Yeah.
We can't just do random questions.
And that's true for the other 2 groups too.
Yeah.
They'll have a list of structure.
Yeah.
And I tell everybody,
So everybody's the same.
if an answer if you want to pursue an answer that somebody gives, go ahead, you're free to do that. But make sure, because it's only fair to ask the same questions to the candidates, you know. We don't give softballs to one guy and not the other, but you can pursue an answer in it, but don't start creating new questions. And part of that is because we have questions structured that are gonna be legal questions. They're not going to violate somebody's civil rights or anything in the process, you know. And when you bring the public in and invite them to sit on your interview panel,
They don't know that.
you try to keep that pretty tight, so you're not getting into something you don't want
So
to.
we'll have the next couple of months to work on that grading, a pattern interview.
Mhm, mhm.
Jim, will there be, for a civil service commission, will they participate in any method?
This is a civil service exempt, position, I would be, if there's members of the Civil Service Commission that we think make good community panel members, I'd certainly welcome them. You know, I think Cliff Bingham, for instance, might be an absolute excellent one to put on to the community panel. Or whoever on there. Same with our budget committee members, you know, they're all people that have shown some interest in the.
So we can extend an invitation to both committees. If they want to participate, they can participate at that.
Yeah, at
Community.
the community level, but we're gonna limit the number. I don't want a whole big group of people in there.
Right.
We'll probably keep the panels to like 5 people.
How are you gonna recruit these people? Put a notice in the paper, or how they can become aware of the opportunity to participate in this?
At the beginning.
We give a list of names. We come up, each of us, with a couple names of people we think would be good, and then we start contacting them. We do it in here. Yeah. I can think of a lot of people that I think would be good. I think it'd be nice to have the school district represented. It'd be nice to have the city represented. The people Mike works closest with, you know, in the community, would be good. The former city manager, Mark Riggles, would be an excellent one. There's lots of folks around that do a good job if they're available to do it. So that would be the process. It'd be those 2 days of September 23rd and 24th. And then we have a month in there, because on the 24th, we're gonna come up with who our number 1 pick is, hopefully.
Yeah.
We're gonna say, I like, you know, that guy. And we might even make a contingent offer to that person. But it's
At the board meeting.
Huh?
At the board meeting.
Yes, after we'll have the executive session for the discussion, and we'll decide at that executive session if we're ready to make a contingent offer. And that's contingent on a number of things. A background check, a physical, and we'll talk about it, whether we're gonna include a psych test in there too. but they would have to successfully complete all three of those and get favorable reports back for that offer to become something other than. So that's why I put on the 24th, a possible contingent offer.
So on the background, SDAO is just looking to see if their resume matches reality.
SDAO will run a criminal,
Okay, so it will be a
through LED's criminal
Okay.
and background, and they'll do a credit. But
So we'll
those
have the
aren't,
initial.
those aren't enough.
Okay, I just want to make sure we have that initial.
Yeah,
So
that's,
anytime.
and that's all they'll do. I think we need to hire a background investigator and give them a name or two names and say, we want to know about this person.
Was it Fire District 5 that wound up in a real financial mess because they apparently didn't do any kind of a background on one of their key individuals? So I was thinking about that, you know, I certainly don't want that.
So two background.
And I would
Yeah, it's good.
It's actually becoming kind of standard of the industry to have more of an in-depth background, almost the similar background as what they're requiring peace officers to have.
Yeah.
Where they actually go out and they will do reference checks. They will do, you know, your financial background, your criminal background. It's a very in-depth thing, but better to have something surface at that point than
Exactly.
farther down the road. So I strongly recommend that what Jim is saying, that we
And that's gonna cost us some money, but it's money well spent.
Great. And that's just my question. I want to make sure we weren't going to get there and not have
Okay.
even a basic background.
And then, so that, any contract negotiations with the finalists, the background check, medical and all that, we'll try to have done by October 23rd. Well, at least SDAO's part will be done. We still may be working on, a good background check takes some time. It really does. And scheduling those folks in.
And
But
if I can just interject on that one, do we need an earlier meeting possibly to establish a contract with a background investigator where we can schedule an appointment under the district's name? Because I know background investigations can get booked up pretty fast. And if there's other districts or departments that are hiring, it might be advantageous for us to at least get a placeholder.
yeah. And we could be doing that anytime and tell them that we would expect to have a name for them after September 24th. So they could go to it. So yeah, I think that would probably be good to get on that. At the November 18th board meeting then would be to approve an employment contract. So we have basically from September 24th to November 18th to get that negotiated, finalized, and settled and ready for presentation to the board with a January 1 start date. So it seems like we're way out in front of this, but you look at the timeline, things have got to click right along for us to make it in that 6 months.
Good job on this. Is a January 1st start date sufficient, or should we maybe plan for a little bit of overlap? That's
It-
available.
You know, we kind of discussed that a little bit. Yeah, and I guess it's whatever the board wants to do. Is there some benefit to having a transition period overlap, if you will? If you make a job offer November 18th and the person says, I can start tomorrow, you know, if they're a community member or a department member, or whatever, I can start tomorrow, then that frees up some time. The chief has, the contract that we're gonna bring to the board next week. At the next board meeting also allows for a month-to-month extension if need be.
Okay.
So if we hire somebody that says, I really can't start until, you know, January 15th or February 1st, we do have a possibility of extending chief's contract.
It's most likely
gonna be that the person is ready to go after that date rather than before that date? Because like you said, a lot of things that have to
Okay.
take place and then they have to give notice and all of that stuff.
Yeah.
But it's really gonna be dependent on who you hire.
Sure. Yeah, into the holidays, all that good stuff.
So there is flexibility in there, but I wanted to put a timeline together that was realistic and reflected where we think if everything goes right, this is our timeline. If there's any surprises along the way. Yeah.
So I guess next meeting, we should discuss finding a background investigator and what our budget is for that background investigator.
Yeah, it wouldn't be too soon to do that, you know,
Okay.
and actually, I don't know anybody that does backgrounds in the local area, but I'm sure we could reach out to the sheriff's department and others that do use them. I know some, but they're all out of the Willamette Valley.
And, you know, like you say, the sheriff's department,
Mm.
Rogue River PD probably has a source because they have to do backgrounds.
Yeah.
Any law enforcement agency would have to do it. The other question that also comes up with this is, are you going to have the individual do a psychological?
Medical and psychological. Because those will also need to be scheduled in.
So Jim, you got the timeline, you've addressed that with us.
Yep.
You've addressed the contract with SDAO. I think one of the things that we need to do is take a vote if we want to pass that contract so we can move forward with that.
Yeah, let's go back to that contract. If I can find it. So what this contract is going to look like, if I can find that contract now. Which group of papers is it in? I just wanted to add a comment. I don't know. Oh, right there it is, that agreement. When I talked to Shanta, I said, look, I think I can run this thing all the way up to doing, till we get to the actual hiring process, the 2 days of interviews and all that. I would like to, at that point, step back and be a board member,
Nice.
evaluating rather than participating.
Yes.
And Shanna reached out to Gordon Slepmo. And Gordon, I'm sure Chief knows Gordon. Gordon came up through Medford Fire Department. He was deputy chief, I believe, at Medford. Left Medford and went to Lebanon Fire District, where he was the fire chief for, I'm gonna say 5 years, I don't know, something like that, prior to his retirement. So Gordon knows Jackson County very well and all the players down here and everything. And he, after retirement, he went to work for SDAO as a consultant. And Gordon is willing to step in and represent SDAO through that testing process and everything. And I will help Gordon, whatever, coming up with the packet of questions that I think would be good for here and all that. But when the candidates show up, it'll be Gordon that meets them and directs them to the motel and directs them to here, tells them which group they're gonna meet with next. And he does the thing. And I can be a board member at that point.
Perfect.
And do it.
Sounds good.
And that all be covered with the 6,000 that we're gonna.
It'll be much less than that. We will come in under that for everything, I think, including, you know, I'd like to keep that 10,000 limit in there because we're gonna have some expenses. We got the motel rooms, we're gonna have a background investigator, we're gonna have a medical one, we'll probably have a psych one. There will be expenses incurred in going through this other than just our contract with SDAO. But I think as far as the SDAO goes, we're probably, I'm guessing it's gonna be in the $2,000 to $3,000 range.
Chief, you budgeted 10,000 for this process, so we've got 10,000 budgeted in the budget, and I think you're gonna be well within that.
So anyhow, that was the agreement, and it worked out with, Shanta as SDAO, and basically they said, you handle, as much of it as you're comfortable with, and let us know when it's time for Gordon to step in, and that's kind of my plan.
Gentlemen, you got any questions for Jim regarding the contract specific? Like to open up, is there any motions?
I move, let's see, is it dated? Not dated.
Can I, right before you make that
Yeah.
motion,
Uh.
Greg, can I, everybody, I worked for SDAO, that's what I did. I no longer work for SDAO, and I have zero financial interest in this at all, but I just wanted
Sure. Yeah.
to make sure that was clear.
Yeah. Let's get that out there. I appreciate that. Okay. So I move that we approve the Special Districts Association of Oregon Consulting Services Agreement that is made effective on May 21st, 2026, it says, in this document, 2 pages. Can Jen Stearns be a signatory on it?
Yeah, I think
We'll
what
need
you're
to
doing is
modify.
authorizing me to sign on behalf of
Yeah.
the board.
We'll just need to modify the signatory.
Or I can sign right, oh, that's fine, I can,
I would.
Yeah.
it's under you right now.
Yeah, and that's fine. If the board just authorizes me to sign that.
Okay, so with an authorization from the board to allow Jim Stearns to enter into this contract by signing it with full approval. That's a motion.
I'll second it.
All vote?
Tom Foster,
Yes.
John Ellis.
Yes.
Jim Stern.
Yes,
Yes.
Jim, next phase on this is, did you want to work with the board to come up with some of the criteria that you're going to be presenting to us?
yeah, what I'd like to do is run down through these things on your 3rd page, 2nd page. That we hit most of them. I just want to kind of do a check.
Is that the 16 item page? or-
No, it's not. It's the next page. And the first item is meet with the board and search committee to discuss the process, which is what we're doing right now.
I don't have that one.
We're not on the right page.
You don't have this one. I thought that was in the,
Is it this one?
yes.
Okay, we're here. It's Iowa Special District Association and Management
Yeah.
Improvement Facilitation. Okay. Interesting, yeah.
And we're down to, develop the process timeline. We've done those first 3. The 4th is, determine travel reimbursement for candidates. I think our determination there is we're not gonna pay for travel for the candidates. We'll pay for room while they're here. Is that agreeable?
So just on the benefit package, are we going to just clone what Chief Hammond has? That's not really,
In the announcement, which we'll get to in a minute, and everybody has, it starts with this page, says fire chief. I set the current, and I didn't set it at that, that's what I put in here. The current chief is, paid at 129 something. And so for the advertisement, I put our pay range of 110 to 130.
but not, and just excellent benefits package.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And staying with the same benefit package basically as we have now. But those things can be negotiated with an individual. Special circumstances. But I thought with the 110 to 130, you can bring somebody in at the, hopefully at the lower end of that range, would have a 6-month evaluation, 1-year evaluation, a 2-year evaluation. That gives you some room to bump in there until you get up to it. Determine if a background check will be required, yes, plus, I put a plus sign on that.
Physical site,
What?
physical site,
Uh-huh,
is that the pluses you're talking about?
I missed that apparently, I don't see it here. Did you see that?
No, I'm
It's not
asking,
on
you
there.
got it. You
Oh,
said background plus,
Oh.
then I said physical
oh,
and site.
plus, an additional background, physical and psych.
Yes.
Okay. How evaluation points will be applied. We'll have to get to that. What we're gonna do, and I'd like to do it this afternoon if we have time, is say, what do we each think is important in a fire chief? In our department, how important is it, or is it important that the fire chief be a paramedic? Because that pool isn't very deep of fire chiefs that are paramedic, but, and I'll ask Mike this, if our fire chief isn't a paramedic, how many runs a year are we not gonna take? Because we don't have a paramedic in the house that can do it, whereas a fire
He doesn't need to be.
doesn't need to be a paramedic.
And I would encourage him not to be a paramedic, because it's a very hard thing to maintain. You shouldn't be a paramedic unless you're being a paramedic all the time.
Yeah.
Doing it from time to time is risky
Yeah.
and full of liability, so I would encourage them not to be a paramedic.
So if we get an application through that's a paramedic, that maybe means nothing. We
It
don't.
means nothing, just
We're
our
not gonna give-
expectations.
Huh?
Our expectations are that they are not gonna be running very many calls.
Right.
If. they can
I
let
guess
us-
the question
They can-
was,
I,
is if you do have a paramedic apply, does that person get points for that being a medic?
right, and it sounded to me like probably not, if that's not an important
Requirement,
skill. Is it, I put in here that, I tried to follow ours, but I put in here that they need to have a bachelor's degree in fire administration or an executive fire officer or fire officer, EOC, executive officer
Yeah.
credentials, or any combination of training and skills that demonstrate the ability to do the job.
Okay,
But is a bachelor's degree real important to us? If so, we'll give it added points,
I'll need to
when you
update
go through this thing.
need to update the job description as an associate's.
And associates could be our minimum, and those could be,
I would say
preferred.
to have your minimum be an associate, and then you fall into the desirable categories.
Yeah, desirable
Uh,
qualifications.
Because one of the things that also that's out there is you have your minimum qualifications, you have desirable qualifications. On your minimum
Yeah.
qualifications, that's going to be looked at by the reviewing groups, and they say, okay, this person doesn't have an associate, which is a minimum requirement. This person, another person comes in, this person has a bachelor's. Well, that is a desirable, but he still meets the minimum because he get to the bachelor's, he had to be associate.
Makes sense.
So what this, thing is saying is in, bachelor's, if they've got a bachelor's, we think that's worth a little more credibility or points. If they've got a master's in business administration, is that of value? And we've got to sit down and go through those things that say, here's how we're gonna grade these before we sit down with them. And say, we're gonna give credit for this. Now, it's, when there we'll also get, veterans preference. And I gotta go back and look, I think it's 10 points for veterans, 15 points for a, service-related injured veteran.
It's 5 and 10 for disabled.
5 and 10 if they're disabled. I was saying it's 10 and 15. Okay, 5 and 10. So those points will fit into this matrix of points that we come up with.
Are you sure you have to do that for a non-civil service job?
Yes. And think from them, yes, you do. Panel interviews, community technical, we talked about board interviews. Yep, we want all that. The board is ultimately responsible for the selection of candidates, semifinalists, and final SDU. Only it facilitates the process. Yep. So I think with those things checked off, we've already developed the announcement, but I want to get to that. We can do that now. If you find the position announcement in here, I started it, did as much of it as I could. We're going to change well, let's just go down through the qualifications. It said proven leadership in a similar or larger sized organization, at least 10 years of fire service experience with at least 5 years of command experience with administrative management and supervisory duties. BA degree will change that. That will become an AA degree or an AS. I'll just put associates.
How about, medic? They do need to be a medic, I would think.
I think that fall under desirable. And I know this, do you have any desirable?
I have not.
I think we need to have a desirable section.
Mm-hmm.
And in that desirable section, I think you address medic.
Okay.
I think you'd address bachelor's degree. And the other thing too is you have EFO, CFO. Those will be desirables because if you have a individual within us, well, let's say we have an individual within our organization, they haven't had the opportunity necessarily to do the EFO or CFO. And if you have the EFO and CFO as a minimum, as your MQ, that might eliminate anybody internally from.
Yeah, but it does say on there,
Or equivalent
or
education.
equivalent educational achievement. Well, that leaves it open. But I see what you're saying. What I think maybe we're talking about two different documents. This one is going to go to, this one's going to get advertised, so it would be beneficial to have those in it. I was thinking about SDAO when they review them. They're not going to care about any of those. They're going to look at these and say,
Right,
well,
but,
this is the minimum that they meet.
well, that would be the minimum, but if
Okay,
other
So
people
we'll add desirable.
add desirables, because as a reviewing, if they see somebody comes in, he's got a master's, he's a medic, I mean, he's, or she's a fire person, you know?
Let me, put this as
There'll be a
desirable.
minimum and a desirable.
So let's talk about the minimum. What does it say in the job description? It said, an associate's degree,
It does.
and it probably gives years of fire service experience.
Yeah, give
not
it, gives it
people.
2 and 5 that's in here.
10 years of experience in the fire service, including 5 years of experience in a supervisory administrative capacity.
Okay,
Graduation from a 2-year college with an associate's degree in fire administration or fire science with coursework in administration. Any satisfactory equivalent combination of education, experience, and training, which ensures the ability to perform the work may substitute for the above. Have the physical ability to be able to pass agility test as per department standards. And it's the department standards, the step test,
and
test.
so that,
the pack test or step test, what's our department standard? What's it based on?
Firefighting skills.
So it's,
Dragging a dummy, standing up a ladder, going up and down the tower, with the paddle on. And, you know, are you gonna have a 50-year-old fire chief do the same physical test that you're gonna have an entry-level firefighter do?
Yeah. Yes,
are we going with industry standard for that, or are we going with our department?
you
standard?
talking about the,
Pack test,
uh,
a pack or a fit, or not a fit test, a. the
physical
step test.
agility?
So I
Yeah,
guess,
I don't know.
because we can actually, if if they're working for a department right now, and they are not the chief, but they fall into another deputy chief, battalion chief, or captain, they are already, and a lot of those departments are passing them on that physical agility test, and they're getting that certificate annually. I forget which test it is, but that could save them. I mean, if they can produce that certification. you see
Well,
where
Well, all we're saying is they must,
they must be able to pass physical agility.
the department's standards. We haven't said what those are.
Yeah.
You
It
know,
may be, I think it may be.
Well, that's what I just asked the chief.
But yeah, I know. And when you're gonna do a medical physical and you're gonna do that to NFPA 81, I think it is, physical fitness, standards for fire administrators. And so, you know, they'll go through that.
Right, so I guess the question then is, do you want to phrase it passing the NFPA?
No, it's, I'll put it that they will have to pass,
Are you gonna put a fire chief candidate through a physical fitness test here in front of the station, dragging hose and pulling a body?
I don't think we
I'm
did
not.
that with, I don't think we did
I
that.
know,
with,
but
Price.
that's why I'm saying, because the way it's,
have we made a different standard in the organization for
I think so.
fire chief?
I think so, by, at least by
If we haven't,
precedent.
yes, I am.
so, and that's.
But we could do that. We could, and that comes back to your 50-year-old question.
We have through precedents, I'm quite certain.
You what?
We have through precedents. Stearns, Price, he didn't do the full physical, did he?
But that's true.
Quite certain of it.
So do we as a board want to say, and this is our opportunity to do it, our fire chief must pass the same physical fitness standards as every other member of our uniformed personnel? Or do we want to say the fire chief physical fitness standards are this?
The latter.
Evaluation from a qualified medical doctor and certification that they're physically fit to do the job.
Yeah.
Most chiefs exams and everything don't have you doing the physical agility test as a firefighter. They have you pass the hiring process by a physician saying that you're capable of meeting that.
Yep.
And the physician takes a copy of the job description and certifies that this individual
Well,
has.
now the physician takes a copy of the NFPA and says, here's the, you know,
Correct.
the whole list of
And that's.
resting heart rate and after an EKG, a stress test and all that.
And you
stuff.
went exactly where I was going. We should, in our basic minimum qualifications, refer to NFPA section blank.
Yeah.
And that's the basis upon.
So I'll take out department and put in meet NFPA.
Good discussion.
You got there. You took us a while.
It did.
Good. That's exactly
I went
where
around
we
the
do
boat
this. And then under the objectives, what I came up with is, looking to hire a person who will provide the leadership, management skills and administrative abilities to continue to move the district in the directions of its stated mission. And then our stated mission, I took off the website, and that is Jackson County Fire District 1 is a combination career and volunteer organization without any volunteers. organization providing fire protection, emergency medical, and other related services that meet the current and future needs of the community. Then moving to the ideal candidate. The individual appointed to this position will possess a well-developed fire EMS operations, business management, administrative, and leadership skills. They will recognize that policy is set by the board of directors and will provide an open and direct flow of information to assist in the formulation of district policies. Okay?
You're doing great.
Okay. They will also be an excellent communicator and representative of the district. Act as a catalyst and front person who can help the district board of directors, staff, and the community create a vision to build for the future. Promote ideas and concepts and sell them in the broader community. Maintain responsibility for establishing and nurturing successful press relations. Help the fire district grow and adapt to changing conditions and continue to be actively involved in the region and the state. In relationships with staff, this person will be a good listener and mentor and be accessible and open in dealing with people who work for the district.
I'd like to add one other section in there.
Sure.
Has the ability to take command of complex incidents and follow ICE and familiarization with ICS and NIMS. An ability to facilitate not only an initial attack, but also an extended attack incident.
So I'm going to put ability to, then asterisk and say work within NIMS and ICS. Take command.
Emergency incidents.
The incidents.
Both an initial attack and extended attack.
I'll say, and take command of emergency as needed. In both initial and extended.
Yep.
And, work cooperatively with local, state,
Federal agencies.
and regional, I'll say, federal and regional, I don't care. Partners and unified command. What that says, for those that don't speak the foreign language, is if we have a big fire and BLM and Oregon Department of Forestry comes in, but it's impacting ours or into our district, we want somebody that can step in a unified command, working with them to coordinate resources and everything.
Not be pushed
and be
aside.
qualified
Yeah.
in doing that.
And not be pushed aside. That can represent us. Yep.
Okay, well, does that take care of the position announcement with, if I update those things? And
I'm just curious, sure, we've gone through this process in the past, don't we have something already written up and on file to how we should be doing what we're doing. I mean, this is great.
Whatever we have would have to be updated through this same process, you know.
I'm just trying to avoid duplicating everything, doing it over and over, but
Well, I
things
think-
change, I
I
realize.
think it's done if we're
Yeah, it looks really good.
good with it. I mean, I can go back and
And I
see.
think kind of did what you're saying, John, is we went back through the last group, the chief's job description. We went back through all those. And all we did was just update.
Yeah.
bring it
Good,
together.
Randy.
Oh, there it is.
One thing we haven't included under the qualifications, and it's worth considering, I think, in our area is any
How you doing?
great wildfire experience background.
I think that we can bring that up when we're,
And maybe what we do with that is it's a desirable, and when we do our point system, we give,
well, if you're gonna do that, you put it under the desirable, and basically that would come in here, ICS 2, 3, 4, 5, and
Yeah.
600 types.
and we should probably make that though.
Throw that as the desirable. And then if you throw those in there, you'll also, if you're gonna throw those as desirables, the other desirables you might want to have in there.
Well, hold on a minute, let me capture what we're gonna,
Where we're at right now, Randy, is we're just kind of updating, what we want to go out as a, desirable qualifications for the advertising chief with SDAO. We went through and, went through the contract with SDAO and that moving forward with that. And, now we're just.
So we're gonna get back to what's on this agenda tonight?
We started an hour ago.
Yeah,
I know, but I could have been here an hour ago if you wanted it in an open board meeting, but whatever.
so you want to go back and start with the agenda, is that what you said?
No, but I could have made myself available here if it would have been helpful, and didn't want to burden you guys with the whole show.
the meeting was at 4:30 and it was,
I thought it was advertised at 5:30.
no, sir, it's 4:30.
Oh, okay. My mistake.
There is that good
I
recording.
had it down wrong on my calendar. Yeah. Yeah, that too. I apologize. For some reason I had it down wrong, so, okay.
Okay, so,
So basically you're.
you want to get Randy caught up where we're at, or?
Yeah,
No,
basically,
go ahead. I mean, don't let me bog it down. I'll catch up.
Okay.
So,
We're, in going through the position description, and we're going through the, desirable qualifications for the advertising for the fire chief. And under, minimum qualifications, we just did the individual appointed to this position will have well-developed fire and EMS operations, business management, administrative and leadership skills. They'll recognize the policy is set by the board of directors and provide an open, direct flow of information to assist formulation of the district policy. They will also be an excellent communicator and representative of the district, act as a catalyst and front person who can help the board of directors, staff, and the communities create a vision to build for the future, promote ideas and concepts and sell them to the broader community, maintain responsibility for establishing and nurturing successful press relations, help the fire district grow and adapt to changing conditions, and continue to be actively involved in the region, state. In relationship with staff, this person should be a good listener, mentor, and be accessible and open in dealing with work in district. Then we added to that ability to work in NIMS, which is the National Emergency Management System, and ICS, which is Incident Command System. Take over emergency incidents as needed, command of emergency incidents as needed. In both, initial, both initial and extended attack, work cooperatively with local, state, and regional partners in unified command. Then, we're gonna go to desirable. Forgot to put my,
Could you say this?
minimum qualification.
You wanna, list your ICS 2, 3, or do you wanna say completion of NWCG type courses?
Then you get into putting the wildland standards on. For
Well,
NWCG.
you'd asked about wildland. That's the only reason I was answering. that.
Yeah.
Because your ICS, 1, 2, 3, whatever those are multi-hazard, they're all encompassing. You were specifically asking about wildland, that's where you fall into your NWCG such.
Yeah, maybe we may want to put that in like a desirable area. People who have managed active wildfire see operations, not like they're gonna be managing them for a long period of time, being a structured unit, but
So desirable,
you could keep it generic and say completion of NWCG type courses. And then that individual in their resume can say what courses they've completed versus us saying, we want you to have A, B, C, or D, because theoretically, we're not a wildland agency.
Yeah.
If that person has wildland certifications, that put cream on the cake.
yeah, exactly, desirables.
so wildland NWCG qualifications,
Wildland NWCG qualifications or equivalent.
do you want to say up to operations level or do you division or just leave it open?
I would leave it open. It'd be interesting to see what people come back with. It'll be interesting if an individual comes back and says, "Oh, I'm IC qualified." Then that could bring some interesting conversation.
I was IC qualified as a firefighter. That's
How about
doesn't mean much.
a work history in an organization that provides ambulance transport services?
Yeah.
That's desirable, correct? Not minimum.
Okay,
Well, working within a paid and volunteer organization,
no what,
working within a paid and volunteer organization.
with the combination department? Anything else people think's important to see in the qualifications of this person?
Record of obtaining alternate sources of funding such as grants. And
That's pretty specific.
okay, record of obtaining alternate sources of funds. Support operations.
I'm saying history of successful,
Could you phrase it this way? Knowledge of alternate funding sources.
Perfect.
I'll play with these a little bit.
Under a requirement.
Mhm.
A valid Oregon driver's license. And or ability to.
Or
obtain one.
obtain within.
You know, you need the ability to obtain it. I mean, he's coming from New York, he's not gonna have one.
And insurable by the district.
Bondable.
ability to obtain within, and then insurable by the district.
We going to have a residence search.
Is there currently?
There was. I don't know if we've changed that or not.
I don't think it officially got changed, but it was not enforced. So the initial one was,
When did we ever have a fire chief that didn't live in the district?
it was 20 miles from the fire station, 20 miles from the fire station, and then they changed it to 20. They said, if I live in Hugo, I can get here faster than if I live in downtown Grants Pass, because Hugo is all. I think you should be careful about that, because if you have a candidate that is really good at every other aspect, but they want to live in Medford, I don't think you want to be forced to come.
Well, it came up when Chief Price was looking for lodging too, when he was here, because the real estate market was really screwball and couldn't find anywhere to stay. I think he ended up finding a place eventually, but we revisited at that time.
He,
I think maybe a desirable qualification, not a minimum.
yeah.
I mean, you don't want them to live in Roseburg, but if they live in
Well-
Central Point, maybe you can deal with that for a little while.
I think you need to have something as a parameter, because if we don't have anything at all.
Yeah, yeah.
Who's to
And
say?
what's our current one? Is it 20 minutes?
Twenty minutes is a long ways. I think that gives them
Well,
a pretty good.
I think it's desirable to live within the district that pays your salary. I think for a fire chief, I don't have a problem with putting that expectation on somebody. But that's just me.
I'm inclined that as well, to go that direction if. And it's the real estate market around here now. There's some available houses.
Can we list it under a desirable?
Yep.
To reside within the district, and by having it as a desirable, that will give us the ability, if we have a candidate that just is extraordinary, and that candidate says, I can live in Hugo and be here in 20 minutes, it gives us, as a board, the latitude to negotiate that individual.
Yeah, you'd be eliminating a lot of people.
To say it's desirable.
I used to drive 60 miles to work. It was my fault.
Yeah,
No,
the big cities.
Oh, okay, yeah.
That's good.
And under desirable, I have said, live within the district boundaries within 6 months. Somebody's got a house to sell and,
I wouldn't even, I would,
well, because if you put,
I
it's
understand
desirable
what
if
you're
they live within the district boundaries, it sounds like you're only gonna consider inside.
6 months is pretty much a standard.
Yeah.
And there's, being it's a desirable, that's always a negotiable item.
That's negotiable. Okay. Anything else we want to put in as
What did
desirable?
you come up with on EMT? EMT.
I stayed silent on it. I did put that, I did put, work history in an organization that provides ambulance transport services is a desirable. Because they need to be able to understand the billing process and times and those things are.
Is this a document we're updating, or is this a clean sheet of paper you're coming up with here? Is this, do we have something already in our files to work with? This is brand new.
This is okay, coming off the job description, first chief's job description.
The job description was in the files. The position announcement that we're working on now was not, I went through and filled out as much as I could, and then there were some things I needed board input on. And this was gonna be putting requirements. And Randy, we went over the timeline that I put together. That looks like this. So you might want to review that. And just, I tried to do everything at regular board meetings we could. The only special meeting will be on September 24th, and that's when we're doing the assessment centers. And that will be a special meeting for an executive session to interview the candidate.
Sounds good.
Can we go back over the living arrangements? What do you have written down there?
Yeah.
They must be
Live within the district boundaries within 6 months.
within 6 months.
And that's under a desirable, not a
Do we want to put some,
required.
do we want to put some teeth to it that they must be within 20 minutes of the station as a
That would be more generous in that they could then live in Grants Pass.
well, not as a desirable, as a requirement. I'd like to see a requirement that they're, 20 minutes out.
Oh, I see. As a requirement, we live within 20 minutes.
Yeah.
I could still put you way down the road if you're chief, you got a vehicle at home, you could go code 3 all the way, you can go long ways.
Long way in 20 minutes.
Yeah,
I think basically if you're gonna do something like that, what you need to do is you take the station and then you, on a map, come out with the 20-minute, and that'll give you a circle of where that would be.
Well, but it won't ever give you a circle because there's no roads going to this
Yeah.
part,
I understand that. but What's the
Yeah.
definition of 20 minutes?
20 minutes of road travel at posted speed.
Okay. It was brought up, you got the heavy traffic in Grants Pass and going down the Grants Pass Expressway, take you 30 minutes to travel 2 miles, or you're on the freeway coming from Merlin.
Right.
So yes, you even have the capability of code 3, but there's a lot of variables
Right,
that
but
come
fewer.
into that.
If you just say at posted speed for evaluation of the distance.
I think you should leave it where you have it and deal with it during the interview process.
Or make it upon approval by the board of directors. So we had a little bit of room to make an exception for a really good candidate that's this far out of the boundary or something.
Or you never know, we could have somebody who's already working for us, and they would live outside of that area.
Yeah, you're not going to
Going
force
to
them
make
to
it.
move.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
I
Okay.
think we should keep it as a desirable,
loose.
and I think
Okay.
we, as a board, have that discussion if we brought that through.
You can read the position objectives, which is looking to hire a person, to provide leadership, management, and administrative. We did that. Read through those. I think we've already talked about the salary range and the benefit package. These are excellent.
Things what Two family currently has now.
If anybody has any questions about the timeline or any of the things, otherwise, I think I've got enough to finish this stuff off and get it to SDAO, because it's gonna start being advertised July 1.
So we're gonna just kind of work on a list of questions we'd like to see included in the pattern interview and get those to us.
Yeah, and
At a
I
board
actually have, through the years, saved a lot of questions, so I could come in with, and I would expect Gordon would bring, some of that also.
Okay.
Gordon would love it if we said, here's the questions we think are important.
Would it be helpful to help? I don't claim to be up to date on all the acronyms and everything of the fire department. But the other folks are gonna be looking at this, if they can, what the heck is a EMS or what's,
Mhm.
just a thought.
I can eliminate all the acronyms and put it in plain speak. The other side of me says, we have a candidate that doesn't know what EMS is. I don't want him.
Just, well, I'm thinking of the folks that have, might somehow be involved in evaluating, something, and it just, acronyms always
An
confuse.
example, John, is when we have the community group. Gordon's role will be to instruct them what their expectation is and what their parameter is and what questions they have that they'll be asking. So there'll be an individual that'll put it into clear text to them in the workshop. So everybody understands it. You have the mayor, let's say, of Rogue River doesn't know what ICS means. Gordon will be explaining the incident command
Okay, that was
system.
my
But
concern.
a lot of those type of questions won't be happening at that community level. It'll be happening at the tier chief level or the
Technical
operational
committee.
professional level. So, but to answer your question, yeah, well,
Thank you.
we'll address it. Okay, are there any other comments on the recruiting process? Hey, hearing none.
Well, I've got one.
Okay.
I'm trying to regain my lost hour. So
Not a problem. Take
I
your time.
apologize for that, but so I thought we were trying to discuss using SDAO or doing this in-house.
And we're doing a combination.
Okay, so that we're gonna use both of them.
Right, what's going to occur first is SDAO will do the initial screening. They'll do the advertising, they'll put all that information out. And then the first group of applications, SDAO will go through those. Then they'll compile the candidates they feel that should move forward. Those will be presented to Jim. Jim will bring that to the board. We will have a session where we will be reviewing those documents and everything. Based upon that, the selected candidates will move forward from what the board chose and move through the process.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure.
Yeah, and it's kind of a hybrid deal. I'm gonna handle most of this stuff up until we get to the interview process. And then I'll step back and be a board member, and Gordon Sletmo. And Gordon, you came up through the Medford Fire Department as deputy chief at Medford. And then when he left Medford, he went to being the fire chief of Lebanon, Oregon. And he's retired now and works for SDAO. And Gordon will be coming down to facilitate the process, if you will, so that I can just be a board member.
But we agreed to a contract for consulting services not to exceed $6,000 with SDAO. We're not going to spend anywhere near that amount because Jim's done most of the legwork.
Right, but we're gonna have some, as we
Yeah.
talked about, some
Other
expenses
expenses.
in that, we talked about, we're not gonna pay travel expenses for somebody to come here and interview. But we will pay for a block of 3 or 5 rooms, probably be, I don't know what it'd be, either 3 or 5 rooms over at the Best Western while they're here for the process. We'll pay for that. And,
Imagine we're paying for SDAO's travel and some of that.
yeah, Gordon's travel will
Yeah.
be in there. And the
Extensive background.
day of it's like September 24th, we'll need to feed all the evaluators, so it'll be sub sandwiches or something and drinks here in this room. We'll have a working lunch through the process.
And then an extensive background check for the
And we're
finalists.
gonna have medical,
Yeah.
psych, and background checks. Stay out of that too. And SDAO does only criminal background and credit. But we felt that we need more extensive background than that. Going out and getting somebody that's qualified to do that. Anything else?
Yeah.
I think we're
Moving
on
along.
our way.
Right along.
I'll get this all put together and shipped off to FDAO.
Okay. Are there any public comments? Items that came up after the agenda was posted. Suggested future agenda items. All righty.
Move, we adjourn.
Motion. Second. In favor?
Aye.
You should have called me. I'm not, I got it now, it wasn't wrong, I guess, man.
Randy, if you go through that stuff and have any questions, feel free to give me a call.
Okay, I'll go through it a little bit closer when I get home. I don't think I've ever been late to a meeting.
Are we off the air?
Well, we won't let you